I'll ask the question and then immediate cut to what their answer is. There's no lag. There's no lull, because we want it to be as quick as possible to almost where you're like, what's going on? But sometimes if it's awkward and you want to embrace the awkwardness, then you'll use the silence. But overall, kind of 0 seconds of silence. Those are kind of like the rules that we like to follow. Oh, and also under 30 seconds. Always under 30 seconds.
So tell me about your creative process. When you start out the day and you're about to, go do some filming, like, what is the strategy? I mean, how do you calculate success? Do you look at data? Do you look at performance of other videos? What inspires you, then also helps you, kind of calculate to be consistently successful?
Yes. I'm a huge researcher of my content. So everything that's posted, whether I look at the likes, the views, the comments, what the comments are about, I am very nitpicky about everything. So before I go out and film for every time I film a week's worth of content. So I film like twice a week, and we film for a week's worth.
How many videos is that? When you
7.
when you film? Oh wow! So you film like about 7 videos per session?
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, I research my content, see what's performing, and I'll see what questions I asked, and see if it performed very well. I'll kind of take that question, spin it, make it a little bit different, and ask it again in a different way, or kind of use that topic and make a new question. Not only that, but also I've learned that when I'm writing questions that I want to ask to people, I've had people help me write questions as well. Like I have. My assistant also writes questions for me as well, and like comes prepared with new questions and stuff. I've learned that I'm not that great at like just asking random questions if I am not passionate about the question itself. If I'm not curious about the answer, I can't really give much, or like if I don't really have much input, if I don't have my personal opinion on it, it's really hard for me to do it, because I like to have that, bonding thing where you give your opinion, I'll give mine, we're back and forth, we maybe debate on the topic. If I don't really care, then it's not really a great interview. So like I'll sit down, I'll be like, okay, what is pissing me off this week? What's inspiring me this week? What's making me happy? Like, what am I curious about? And I'll write it all down. So it's all kind of questions that I'm curious about or I want to talk about. And then I'm like, let's talk about it with somebody else. Let's hash this out together.
Okay. So it's kind of like your version of like the writer's room.
Right, exactly.
No, that's great. What, like, when you look at your analytics, I mean, you said you look at views. I mean, is there anything else that you look at that TikTok provides that helps give you insight?
I can look at like analytics on the back end and kind of see what time most of my followers are online. Typically, I like to post like at 4 p.m. kind of when like a lot of my followers are in school, so I kind of wait till they're out of school. But other than that, we kind of look at the view count, and I can always also the comments are very telling, because everyone in the comment section, everyone wants to be heard. So it's kind of like, what can we do in the video to make people write something where they want to give their own opinion? So whether it's we be a little bit more controversial or say something that most people won't agree with, so that people can comment to make the engagement go up, to get more views. So it's interesting to look at the data and kind of see what works, see what doesn't, and keep creating successful content.
Well, and it seems like you're really good at organizing unstructured data, where you look at the actual video, you look at the comments, and you try to find the correlation. I mean, that's something that we actually build AI to do, because it can do it better than humans by like looking at the content and correlating it with thousands of other pieces of content. But what I'm noticing, and again, this is more of like a personal theory, is that there's a lot of artists out there that are just really good at just looking at all their content, trying to and rather than just looking at the views, just looking at the analytics, which is more of like the structured data. They actually go through and they look at the comments, and then they come up with inspiration and areas where they've correlated comments to what they've created. And so that's very interesting. That, I mean, would you say that's like probably one of the more areas that you focus more on, is just the comments and as well as just the videos?
Yeah, definitely the comments. I mean, it's very important to look at it. I mean, I always look at what people are saying about me and what they like about me. I'm like, how can I do that more? Always gotta look at that as well. But like a lot of people say, like one of my most common comments is I love you match their energy. Like you vibe with the person so well, and that's what you said at the beginning of the podcast. I try to do that as much as possible because that's what people are seeing and that's what's working. I mean, I don't have to try really because I really do vibe with a lot of people, but you know, I'm like, we need to show that more. It's all in the edit too. The edits are so important.
Right. So tell me more about the editing process.
So I'm lucky enough, I have two amazing editors that edit my videos for me, but they would laugh at this because I am very, very, very nitpicky on my edits for the show. So whenever I do record in person, after the video is over, I quickly write down everything that I can remember that I want in the video. So I'll like type out what the video title is or what the question I asked was, and then I'll be like, take out this part that I said this, don't use that, use this thing that was funny, this wasn't funny, take this part out, you use a photo reference for this, what she said here. So they'll kind of have a gist of what I want before they even get the footage. Right when they get the footage, they'll have my notes, and then they'll send them to me, and then I'll come back with so many more. Like I always like every second on TikTok is so important because the viewership rate, like the audience retention, I think is what it's called, is so incredibly important on TikTok because if you scroll away and you don't watch the full video, then your engagement will go down and it won't get as many views. So like I'll literally tell my editor, I'll be like, the 0.2 seconds at the end of the video, take it off. It's so important. You know, I'm like very, very nitpicky about it.
You know what? That is a superpower because I bet a lot of the creators that you grew up watching that like have, you know, tens of millions of followers, there's a lot of these vloggers that still do their own editing, or they can't let go of that control. But the fact that you've been able to do that, it's going to help you scale more, and so you can be much more focused on like the vision and you know, the creative ideas. I mean, this is a huge step, I think, in the, you know, in a creator's journey of being able to have trusted editors that you just know are going to do a good job. And it makes it so you're even more proactive on just making sure the right content's in there. And then they can edit it. Then you can analyze it and then just confirm that, okay, actually it can be a little better. I would have never guessed with your program that there would have been that much thought through the editing. You know, I mean, because like, there's such short videos, and you just said every second counts.
Right.
Did you ever learn like, okay, if we do it this way, if we edit it a certain way, it's not going to perform as well? Like, is there anything that you can reference where you learned that?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a million little techniques that there's kind of like what's poppin' rules that me and my editors kind of follow. Like one of the rules is if there's a celebrity mentioned, you have to like show a photo, like just reference to make it more engaging to the viewer. And one of the huge things is I always say, and they probably hate this, that I say this, 0 seconds of silence. So like I'll ask the question and then an immediate cut to what their answer is. There's no lag. There's no lull because we want it to be as quick as possible to almost where you're like, what's going on? Like this is so quick. But sometimes if it's awkward and you want to embrace the awkwardness, then you'll use the silence. But overall, kind of 0 seconds of silence. And, you know, making it as quick as possible, as high energy as we can make it. Those are kind of like the rules that we like to follow. Oh, and also under 30 seconds, always under 30 seconds.
Always under 30 seconds and no silence.
No silence.
No,
I hate silence.
Well, I mean, look, I guarantee there's a handful or a bunch of creators or YouTubers that are trying to figure out TikTok right now. They're going to hear that, and that's going to be extremely helpful and important to them in the future. No, thank you for sharing that. Like that's a true like gem. You know, I don't like to talk about AI all the time, but unfortunately, I always default into it. But what we've learned is when we're looking at all the data, both, you know, like the stuff that you put in the spreadsheet, as well as like the visuals, the video, or the large groups of texts, or the audio. If we're trying to accomplish an engagement where like someone clicks on something, or if they're going to go purchase something, what the AI has taught us is that the audio is one of the most important features in order to make that happen. And it's not just, you know, a call to action, but it's how the video is edited and how the audio is leveraged. And so hearing this from you, you know, that's actually very interesting. It's going to make me look at TikTok much differently in the future of, this gem of like high energy, make sure there's, if there's a lag, it better be perfect.
Right.
So
Make the lag purposeful.